undefeated. Find out which Point Park team managed to extend their winning streak and keep their perfect conference record alive this weekend.
Senior Day will tell you how the cross-country teams did this past Saturday at the Carnegie Mellon University race.
And everyone loves a comeback. Our reporters will discuss which athletes they think managed some of the best ones. It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Good evening and welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm Sarah Maculin.
And I'm Mike Turk. Tonight, we'll start off the program discussing the red-hot Point Park volleyball team. Since their loss to rival IU East, the women have been on a tear as of late, having won 7 games in a row.
The team will look to secure win number 8 tomorrow night in a non-conference matchup at the University of Pittsburgh-Johnstown. But before we look ahead, we bring in Nicole Pampina to discuss the winning streak that the team is on. So, Nicole, they're 5-1 in conference. They're on this great winning streak. What has been the key to the Point Park volleyball team's success after losing that game to IU East early on?
I think a lot of it was a confidence thing. Last time I saw them play was Ohio Christian, and that was a non-conference game. And it was just easy for them. They just absolutely showed no mercy. They actually put in second stringers by the end of it. And just being able to have that confidence and come back and see what they're capable of against a team that maybe isn't a huge challenge, but show them what they can do was how they could come back and win those 6 games in a row, especially against teams like Rio Grande and WVU Tech.
Now, Julia Minoski, 2 consecutive weeks in a row. River State's Conference Setter of the Week has been doing a phenomenal job. Now, originally, at the beginning of the season, Pioneers were running a 6-2. Now they're running a 5-1 with Julia Minoski as the main setter. They were splitting time between her and Brittany Bianco. Now, what advantages has this done to the Pioneers since they've switched from that 6-2 over to a 5-1?
Well, a lot of the team is the same as last year. We see a lot of returners, much more seniors than before. So being familiar with her, I think, came into play. Not that Bianco wasn't fantastic. I loved seeing her in there as well. But Minoski, she knows her hitter, she knows her offense, and she knows how to work it. We have those 3 offensive choices. Now Taylor is an incredible right side. We know this for a fact. But just being able to work that and being so familiar, I think, is what has given her the chance to just absolutely shine the way she has been.
Now, they have a non-conference matchup tomorrow at UPJ. Now, but they also have 2 conference games on the road coming up on Friday and Saturday. One versus Ohio Christian, the other versus IU East, a rematch to the team they've lost to. So what does this team need to do to not only do well in this non-conference matchup, but get that win against IU East?
Keeping that confidence and playing up. But UPJ is going to be interesting because they're in CAA D2. So that they played them last season. They went to 5 sets. They ended up losing, but coming back again with those returners with that familiarity is going to come in handy. Ohio Christian, we saw what happened, so I'm going to chalk that one up as a win. And IU East is what I'm looking at. That was their home opener at the beginning of the season, and that loss, I think, was nerves. They're just as good as a team as them. I didn't see anything crazy impressive from IU East, not that we hadn't seen in the past. That's just shaking off those nerves, no home opener pressure, and coming back and doing what they know how to do, and I think they can win against IU East.
Well, thanks, Nicole. The Point Park cross-country teams had home turf this past weekend as both teams raced in the Carnegie Mellon Invitational, which took place at nearby Shenley Park, a practice ground for the team.
Yeah, Sarah, and that familiarity with the course showed as both teams did pretty well at this meet. The women placed 2nd out of 9 teams, and the men finished in 3rd out of 10. To recap the weekend's meet and what's ahead for the cross-country teams, we have Nick Kosiski joining us at the desk. Nick, now, can you just discuss some of the aspects of what went into this race this past weekend at Shenley Park for the CMU event?
Yeah, this is like the closest meet we'll ever get to us. So they had their senior day, all the seniors celebrated. It was a good time. And the course was usually a different course, so whole different course, and especially like the women's start, so that kind of played a part in definitely like preparing. But like I said, like that's where we always practice, so Point Park kind of knew it was coming, but at the same time, way different racing than the other years, but it still turned out pretty good.
Now, the men did really well in this race, something that's been lacking from them all season. I mean, the women have been the star of this show. How much is this a confidence booster, this past meet at CMU for the men, leading into their last meet of the season and then eventually the RSC championship?
This is a huge confidence boost. And because like they really just looked like, like they really like wanted to do good on this Shenley course. And like I said, it was the senior day and stuff, and like all the people's family members were there. So I think that played a part because there was just good vibes throughout the whole time. And yeah, they really did good. Xavier Stevens did good. He's runner of the week. No surprise, but.
Now I want to talk about the freshman, Alyssa Campbell.
Oh yeah.
Placed second at the meet. She's been doing a phenomenal job to start the season. Do you think she could potentially be the next Anna Shields? We had Katie Coronacci a couple years ago who was doing a great job.
Yeah.
And Anna Shields came in.
Exactly.
Now Anna Shields is still tearing up courses everywhere she goes. But do you think Alyssa Campbell could step up to that level eventually in the future?
Oh, for sure. And Anna Shields actually didn't, run at Shenley, but Alyssa still did amazing. So she proved that she has that leadership and she can really get the team through it. And the whole girls team did amazing. I talked to Coach a couple days ago, and he was just very pleased with the whole thing. He was a happy man.
Now I want to ask one last question about this women's team. I mean, they were 16th, now they're 15th after CMU. And their next meet isn't this weekend, but the following weekend. How important is that meet for them to still keep up this pace before River State's conference championships?
It is huge because they want to just, keep on trying to go down the line, like aim for 14, even 13. So this next meet is going to be huge, and this meet was a really good start to their potential.
All right, Nick, thank you very much for your coverage on that. We really appreciate it. Now, when we come back, find out how the women's soccer team is preparing for the big matchup against rival Carlow University.
And later, see how the Pittsburgh Penguins fared in their first 2 games of the regular season. All that and more next.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. You miss your old familiar friends, but waiting just around the bend. Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a lust of somebody who needs you. When you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look,
Spending just 7 minutes climbing stairs each day cuts your risk of a heart attack in half over 10 years. Sure, elevators are convenient, but you burn twice the number of calories just going upstairs than you do while jogging. Think about how long you spend waiting for elevators. The average person spends the equivalent of 2 years waiting for elevators over the course of their lifetime. Don't let that be you. Save time and increase energy. Next time, take the stairs.
Welcome back. The Point Park women's soccer team's incredible hot streak continued on Thursday as the team won their 8th game in a row against Ohio Christian University.
Yeah, Sarah, but the team has its biggest matchup of the season thus far on Thursday when they face crosstown rival Carlow University. Both teams are undefeated in the top of the conference so far, so we're going to talk about that for a little bit here. Now, Point Park, Carlow, undefeated in conference play so far. Both teams have been on fire. What do you expect from this game, Sarah? I got to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against the Point Park women's soccer team right now with how good that they're doing, but Carlow's also doing very well. Point Park has slightly a better record. Carlow has that one tie in the conference play, whereas Point Park is 100% undefeated. So if they can keep up what they've been doing both on the offensive side and defensive side, because they've been giving up not even the defense hasn't even been allowing goals to go to the net or
Right.
even close. So the key to that game, because this Carlo women's team is a great team, they have a nice offense. So I think the defense is going to be the difference factor in that game for Point Park.
No, you're absolutely right on that. 29-2 during that 8-game winning streak. That's the amount of goals they've scored against they've allowed for their opponents. It's been an incredible defensive run here. 3 straight shutouts for Point Park. Ashton Webb has been phenomenal in Webb, but in net, excuse me, but you have to look at Chloe Bowser, I think. Chloe Bowser has a really powerful leg, but she's a great defender. She's been doing phenomenal. River State's Conference Defender of the Week. I mean, it's going to be an exciting matchup here, I think, for the women's soccer game against Carlo.
Oh, without a doubt. I think the women are going to come out on top. It's going to be a low-scoring game. We've seen, you talked about that 29-2 margin, but they're not going to score. I don't think they're going to score. I think it's going to be, I see something like a 2-1 game. Very close. It could very well be a shutout. I think both teams have too good of offenses for it to end in a shutout, but a close game.
Now, real quick, they're playing Malone University coming up here soon. That's a non-conference game. Besides that game, the rest of them are going to be River State's conference gameplay. So, what do you think is the importance of a game like this when they're not playing in conference, where really their only chance to make the NAIA tournament is to win out their conference? So what do you think a game like this means to them coming up?
I mean, it's not going to be as important as the Carlo game. They're not going to be, the hype isn't there,
Right. Yeah.
as Paul Daniels would say, with that matchup. But it's still very important because you don't want to slack off or prepare any less for this Malone team just so you can focus on the conference games ahead. You always got to take it one game at a time. You want to look forward to the other games, but it can get overwhelming. So take it one game at a time, focus on Malone, put another notch in their belt, and that could be the difference. I mean, if Carlo wins out, if they're even, it goes to record. So it could be a big game for them.
It's going to be an interesting week to find out how they do against Carlo. Now, we're going to move on. After losing close games to 2 top-tier opponents in the NAIA last weekend, the Point Park men's soccer team looked to bounce back last Thursday against Ohio Christian University.
And yeah, Mike, the men were able to bounce back, defeating Ohio Christian by a final score of 4-1, improving their conference record to 2-2-1. To discuss how the men were able to secure that victory and what's next for the team, Taylor Spirito joins us at the desk. So Taylor, now the men, there's 2 tough losses. They played really good teams. 1 tie and 1 close loss. We take those as wins. They're not wins, but it could have been worse.
Yeah.
But now they were able to bounce back against Ohio Christian and win 4-1. How'd they do in this game, and what stuck out to you?
What stuck out to me was this game, as opposed to every other game, their defense is stellar across the board, but this game they really stepped up their offense. They scored first at 8:54. They had 3 goals in the first half. So they really got into that mindset of playing not only a great defense, but playing a really great offensive game. And that really upped their chances of winning this game. And, obviously they came out with a win 4-1, which was really incredible to see.
Now, 4 of their last 5 home games are going to be played at Highmark Stadium at home, which has to be a good advantage, right? I mean, what is going to be their key to success here, running down the line here this last month of October?
Yeah, like you said, taking advantage of that home field advantage is going to be key for them. Their fans, their families are going to come out and see them play great games. You surely don't want to disappoint your biggest fans, of course. But like I said before, keeping up that defense and keeping up that offense, that's really going to be their key. If they can keep the mentality that they had during the Ohio Christian game, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to come out of these all the five games with a win.
So you said it there, all 5 games with a win. Now they're 2-2-1 in conference play. Not terrible, but not where we expected them. So what can we expect from the rest of the season? I mean, do you see them finishing with an above 500 record, or do you see them slowly falling down and not making the playoffs?
I definitely think they could finish above 500. Their games that they still have to play are against Carlo. We won 5-1 against them in 2017. We're going against Midway. We won 4-0 in 2017. We lost to Asbury 1-2, still a very close game in 2017. We won 4-1 against IU East in 2017, and we won against Washington Adventist University 3-1 in 2017. These are all teams that we've won against before. So if we can keep doing what we're doing, having that same mentality as in the Ohio Christian game, especially after those 2 losses, we could totally finish above 500 and make the playoffs.
Well, thanks, Taylor. When we come back, find out how the Penguins are starting the season off.
And later, who do our reporters think has made the greatest comeback in all of sports? Don't go anywhere.
The United Student Government at Point Park University, working since the 1970s to solve the issues that matter to you. What concerns do you have about the university? Student life, safety, food service? Send us an email to studentconcerns@pointpark.edu or stop by our office on the 7th floor of the Student Center. You can also attend our weekly open meetings on Mondays at 3:15. Follow us on social media at USG_PPU for more. The United Student Government, by the students, for the students.
The Point Park Sports Network, bringing you live coverage of Pioneer Athletics on Stretch Internet, the home of the River States Conference and the NAIA. Subscribe today for complete access to the Point Park volleyball, baseball, basketball, and soccer teams. Watch live and on-demand broadcasts and don't miss a minute of Point Park Athletics. Head to pointparksports.com/live for broadcast listings. The Point Park Sports Network, your streaming home for Point Park Athletics.
55% of all U.S. multiracial adults have been subjected to racial slurs or jokes.
Where were you born? Being smart, pale, for a Filipino, to go back to Mexico.
There goes that black boy over there. You like fried chicken because you're light skinned, you are a cock, you think that you're better than us. The N-word.
They're good at jumping or climbing. Border hopper, made taco, English your second language. Where's your green card?
Cut the jokes, stop the stereotypes.
Welcome back. The Penguins are finally back on the ice, and they have gone 1-1 in their first 2 games.
And the Steelers were looking to bounce back this past Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons after losing last Sunday night to Baltimore. For more details on the Steelers and the start of the season for the Penguins, we bring in Allison Schubert.
Thanks, guys. This week, the Pittsburgh Penguins opened up their season on home ice against the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Washington Capitals. It was a game of back and forth, including 6 lead changes, 13 combined goals, and an overtime winner from defenseman Chris Letang that put the Pens on top 7-6. That winning feeling did not have long to settle in when 2 days later, the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Pens 5-1 back at PPG Paints Arena. Goalie Matt Murray defended the net in both games so far, leaving him with a 1-1 record on the season. It is still very early in the season, however, some fans are already worried about the 11 total goals that Murray has allowed past him thus far. The Penguins face off next against the Las Vegas Golden Knights on Thursday, before traveling to Montreal for their first road game of the regular season and their first attempt at revenge. Over on the North Shore at Heinz Field, the Steelers took their second victory of the season against the Atlanta Falcons 41-17. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 250 passing yards, James Conner had his second best showing of 110 rushing yards, and Antonio Brown led in receiving yards with 101. Conner and Brown tallied 2 touchdowns apiece. The Steelers now have a 2-2-1 record on the season and will travel to Cincinnati before their bye in Week 7.
Allison, I want to go from the Steelers back over to the ice with the Pittsburgh Penguins there. Now, we've been told that Matt Murray is concussed over there. What more information do you have about that? How long is he potentially going to be out? And how do you think the Penguins are going to fare without him out there?
So Matt Murray was concussed in practice as of yesterday, Monday night, and it was just announced that he will be out indefinitely. So I don't have a timetable on when he will return, but I do know that Casey DeSmith will be backing him up, and we saw some of him in the preseason, and he's been looking good so far. So with Murray kind of iffy so far in those first 2 games, even with that first win, I think it will be nice to see DeSmith out there and see what he can do during the regular season.
Well, thanks, Allison. Now, there was a pretty big fight this past weekend, and the fighting didn't stop after the bell rang. For more details about the main event from Saturday, we have Colton Tobias to tell you more.
Well, Mike and Sarah, it was a crazy week in the world of sports, and it all started in Las Vegas as Khabib Nurmagomedov defeated Conor McGregor in 4 rounds at UFC 229 on Saturday night. However, there was absolute mayhem that went on after McGregor tapped out, as Khabib jumped over the octagon and started attacking McGregor's trainer, Dylan Dennis. It then broke out into an all-out brawl as members from both corners started attacking each other. Khabib said after the fight he did it because he claims Dennis criticized his religion, his home country of Russia, and even his father. Well, the MLB playoffs are in full swing, and the NLCS is set as the Milwaukee Brewers will take on the defending National League champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And on the other hand, the Houston Astros' chance for a World Series repeat is still alive, as they will advance to the ALCS and will face the winner of the Red Sox-Yankees series. And it was an exciting week in the NFL, but nothing more exciting than Panthers kicker Graham Gano, who kicked a 63-yard field goal as time expired against the Giants to win the game. Gano's kick is now tied for the longest game-winning field goal in NFL history. And on the other side, it was a bad day for Packers kicker Mason Crosby. The 11-year veteran missed 4 field goals and an extra point attempt against the Lions. Those points would have come in handy for the Packers, as they will go on to lose the game by only 8 points.
Well, thanks, Colton. Coming up next, some athletes have been able to come back from tremendous lows and find success again.
What are some of the greatest comebacks in sports history? Our reporters have made their choices. Stay tuned.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
What's one word to describe CAB?
Welcoming.
Community.
Creative.
Experiences.
Family. Openness.
Pineapple.
The Campus Activities Board is a student-run organization that consists of 7 different committees. Each focuses on event planning, marketing, and administrative activities. Join us in organizing the juiciest events on campus, from late-night bingo to festive dances to our team bonding meetings. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Point Park Cap, or like us on Facebook at Campus Activities Board at Point Park University.
Welcome back. Playing sports can be tough on the body and the mind, and for some, the job can even get dangerous, leaving many to wonder if they will ever play again.
But even when things look grim or even impossible, some athletes are able to defy the odds and manage a comeback for the ages. So what athlete made the greatest comeback in sports history? Sarah and I have our picks, and we bring in Colton Tobias and Aaron Becker to discuss theirs as well.
So, Mike, we'll start with you. We don't usually get to do this to debate something, but we both like this topic. So we'll start with you and let you go first. Who do you got?
I was excited for this topic. It really got my engines rolling inside what I have of a brain. But I was thinking, baseball-wise, I like Josh Hamilton. He is a former first overall #1 draft pick in the MLB draft back in 1999 by the Tampa Bay Rays. And he went through some dark times to get back to where he was, competing in the home run derby, competing for a couple of World Series with the Texas Rangers. So I'm going with Josh Hamilton. Now, Aaron, I know you're probably leaning towards the NFL. So who do you got?
Yeah, my guy's definitely in the NFL, and I have to go with Adrian Peterson in 2012. After the previous season, he tore his ACL and MCL. He came back just 8 months later and ran for the second most yards ever by a running back in a single season with 2,097 yards, 9 yards short of the all-time record set by Eric Dickerson in 1984 with 2,105. So that's my guy.
I know you have NFL too, Colton.
That's
Who
right,
do you got?
Sarah. My pick's a little bit different because my player didn't get injured on the field. He got injured in a war. My pick is former Steelers running back Rocky Bleier, who after 11 games into his rookie year in 1968, he got a call from Uncle Sam and he got drafted into the Vietnam War. And while he was there, a grenade struck his right foot, and doctor said he was never going to play football again, but he defied all odds, and 3 years later, he came back to play with the Steelers until his retirement in 1980 and finished with 4 Super Bowls to his resume.
Yeah, the Steelers tie is really
that's
today
right.
for
That's
big
right,
him.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that pick. I like the veteran aspect of it, but because it's my turn, I also have a Hamilton, but not Josh Hamilton. I have Bethany Hamilton. Everyone knows the movie The Soul Surfer. Now, as me and Turk discussed, we're not big fans of the movie itself.
Worst CGI shark attack ever.
But
if you're a movie fan.
But you can't go against what happened to her. She was 13 when she was practicing and she got bit by a shark. She lost her arm. Within a month, she was back out there. And 2 years later, she won a national title and eventually went on to become the professional surfer she always wanted to be. Now, my stance in this is like, not only is she having an injury, but it's not like an MCL or an ACL. She lost her arm. So that's like, that is not only you having to rehab and rework it, but she had to completely learn how to surf all over again because it's all about balance when it comes to surfing. And she doesn't have a limb anymore, so she had to figure out how to surf again. But not only that, but the fear going back. I know if that happened to me, if I got just at the beach, if I got bit by, I'm never going back in. So for her to not only want to surf again, but go back in, she not only had to conquer her injury, but conquer that fear, that danger that awaits her that a lot of people don't have in their sport.
Now, Aaron, you're going with Adrian Peterson. Now, try and convince me. Why am I wrong? And why are you right?
Okay, Adrian Peterson came back just 8 months later. Some people didn't even think he was going to return to the field. And I know it's not losing a limb, but tearing an ACL and MCL are serious, needs of surgery. And that he came back just 8 months later. And for the people that did think, yeah, this guy could possibly come back and play this game again, that he wasn't going to be anywhere near the player he was coming into the league. This was his 6th season coming in. And, he's a violent runner. He puts a lot of pressure on those legs. The running back position is arguably the hardest position to play in the NFL and stay healthy. And in his record-breaking season, he had 1,019 yards after contact, which is pretty incredible after coming off of that surgery. Not to mention that the Vikings quarterback was Christian Ponder. And all respect to him, he didn't turn out to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, so they really had to rely on the run game. And so teams knew that coming into playing the Vikings, and Adrian Peterson still put the team on his back. They went 10-6, made it to the playoffs, but lost to the Packers in the wild card round. So incredible season.
I agree, but I would say that's more of the greatest comeback performance, not necessarily. I mean, an ACL and MCL. I mean, I've had knee surgery. I know what it's like coming back from a knee surgery. It's a lot, and so is Turk. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard, but I don't think necessarily it's not something that people haven't done. They haven't come back and had as great of a performance as he does, but coming back from the injury itself, I don't think is as big as a process to go through it as some of the other people. And I know, Turk, I want to hear more about Josh Hamilton because I know he had to go through a lot of, we talked about the mental aspect of it.
Yeah, just to touch on it real briefly, Josh Hamilton's the guy who got picked number 1, 1999 draft, Tampa Bay Rays, and he took that millions, he signed with them. He spent it all on tattoos to cover his body, and his goal at one time in life was to try all the drugs on the market, and he pretty much conquered that goal, staying out of baseball for 2 years. This is a guy who would smoke cigarettes and burn his own arm with them. And he was a big alcoholic. Now, alcoholism, it's a disease. You can't control alcoholism at all. It becomes an issue where other people have to step up and help you with that. So that's why I think Josh Hamilton was a big comeback, Sarah.
Yeah, well, everyone has their own inner demons, own comebacks. Yeah. There's definitely more we could get into, but that's all we have time for this week. So be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time,
the same Pioneer channel,
and the same Pioneer Sideline.